Hello, my name is Andrew. You can call me Cookies, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Ashvane kill as my Resto Druid and just kind of talking about generally what's going on in the fight and generally how to play this fight as a Resto Druid, because at this point, this fight isn't a DPS check anymore, really, for a lot of guilds. You should be just managing to push through this, which means as a healer, you're not having to focus on just flat-out DPSing like you would have been previously. So, not going to go over too much at the beginning here. The main thing is I just make sure, because of the way our healing cooldowns are lined up, which you can see up at the top left, the only difference is that we don't have a Holy Paladin. I'm just replacing the Holy Paladin's cooldowns, choosing kind of which ones I'm using. So when we start the pull, I just pop Treeform because it's a 3-minute CD, and that way I have it back up since this is a 5-minute fight. And the next hardest healing part in this fight is probably between 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So I pop my Treeform on pull just to kind of help with healing, and that way it's back up when I need it anyways. And then here on the second wave is where I use my Trank, because I am running the Visions of Perfection essence, which allows me to use my Trank again at the 3-minute mark. So I'm just lining up all my CDs and using them all at the start. That way they're back up for when I actually use them later on in the fight, or when I actually need them. So here's where we're going to deal with Coral, and my job here is to just make sure that the people with the marks on them are hotted up and nice and topped off, which isn't always the case, but because we overgear this a little bit, it makes it easy. So we're just applying rejuves and throwing a couple regrowths on people with the debuffs and just making sure that the group's generally topped off so that they can focus on DPSing and breaking the coral without having to worry about any of that. So here goes the next link. I'm just hotting up the people that are not full health. And we're just standing still here because this is going to be red that is killing this coral. And then I'm going to run back and help soak. Since I'm a healer, I'm very mobile and I can help people soak, but they all get covered kind of in an awkward fashion, so it works out. And then the next thing here is, as we are going through this, sorry, I didn't mean Discord for a second. As we're going through this, not too much to happen right now. We're just kind of starting to hot people up as this first rippling wave comes in. We're not using any healing cooldowns or anything to heal through this, so this is just going to be me using wild growth and whatnot. And that's the major thing with Ashvane, is it's essentially hot everybody up with rejuves, and then wild growth right as people start taking damage from soaking the orbs, because that does raid-wide damage. And then from there, you're just re-hotting people or using regrowth. If you took the abundance talent like I did, it allows you to just like spam regrowth over and over, which abundance is one of your first row talent options. So here we're going into the second wave. This is where it gets a little more hectic. We're starting to lose HP pretty drastically. I call for people to use their health stones and health pots. And again, it's just using wild growth during this wave. Wild growth is basically the A+ ability for this fight. You just press it every time that people start soaking bubbles, and essentially use it on cooldown if the group isn't topped off. So here comes the last wave. I pop my Treeform, just like I mentioned at the start of the video, and we are just hotting everybody up, getting ready for this massive burst of damage. I'm going to throw a wild growth out pretty shortly. I probably should have... so actually I make a pretty big mistake here. I should have thrown wild growth out and then started tranking. So that's always the other thing, is anytime you trank as a Resto Druid, always make sure you throw out a wild growth right before. Or the way you want to time it is you throw one right after. That way if you use Flourish, it buffs the wild growth and the tranquility. But this is where we go into the last phase, and from this point it's really just keeping the group at a healthy state so that they don't have to worry about doing anything besides DPSing and just killing the boss. And also so that my healers, which are a Disc Priest and a Holy Priest, can do damage to the boss, because they do significantly more damage to a boss than I can if I'm spamming Wrath. But you can still see me here fitting in some Wraths when the group is topped off, and then I go right back to spamming some regrowth, spamming some rejuves, getting wild growth out, stuff like that, and just keeping the group essentially topped off almost on my own. Here's we get the last wave of briny bubbles. Those are just going to get killed off really quick. And again, at this point, we're not too worried about losing anybody, even if people are starting to dip low, because at this point it's the boss dies or we die. So I'm just kind of throwing out one last wild growth, just getting a couple people that are really, really low topped off, and then just pushing damage. We dodge the upsurge, and we just keep going for damage. We don't worry about healing here at all, because healing isn't going to matter if the boss doesn't die here. And that's the fight. So this was our first kill on this boss. Took a little while. We were a little overgeared, but overall, we did it before the nerf came out, so that was pretty impressive. And yeah, that's how you play a Resto Druid, or make use of a Resto Druid on a fight like this, where your damage is definitely more lackluster than other healers. But you can definitely pump a lot more healing than other healers on fights like this as well. So hopefully that helps some people. Just wanted to kind of give a quick explanation, not too much to it. If you like this kind of video, let me know, or if you'd prefer something more scripted because I was talking too fast or I kind of ran through information too quickly, let me know, because I have done kind of both kind of videos and I'm happy to do either one. I just need to know which one people like better. So thanks for checking it out, and see you guys next time.